Well, welcome and thank you so much for joining us for our candidate interview for USD 232 Member Board Position 3. I am here today with Henry Sandate, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Olathe Chamber and the Johnson County Public Policy Council, who I'm conducting this interview on their behalf. The council is a collaborative effort of 10 chambers of commerce in Johnson County, which collectively represent more than 5,000 businesses. We worked together to develop the questions which are focused on business and community issues. But before we get into the questions, Henry, I would like to take this opportunity for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're choosing to run for the USD 232 Member Board Position 3.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and I really am grateful to have this conversation and share a little bit myself. I'm sure I'm kind of a mystery to a lot of people in the DeSoto School District, but I've lived at my address, which is in the school district, off of Midland and Gladstone, for about the last 16 years. And in the last 6 years, my daughter was divorced, and I invited her daughters to move in with me. And so I have two granddaughters here that currently go to Horizon Elementary School. And I'm of the persuasion that the way I was raised in my family in Topeka, Kansas, and educated in Topeka, was my parents were involved in my education. A little bit about my background: my Hispanic American, Mexican American, third generation. My dad was a migrant worker. He was forced to exit the education field at 6th grade to help his family. My mom was from a family of 13 in Topeka, Kansas, and she was forced by her father, 8th grade, to exit the education arena due to help raise 9 brothers. So they always wanted to be educated. And when I was growing up, they always pursued a GED. And that was a big part of our life, was studying at the dinner table and in the school halls while they were studying for their GED in the evenings, as well as us studying with our homework at home. And then we went on to pursue college education. My sister, my brother, and I all graduated from Washburn University, living at home and attending the local university there. And from there came to Johnson County. It was a dream of mine to come to Johnson County, watching it prosper and grow and understand the opportunities were great. And so in 1982, I moved here. And in 1983, I started my State Farm agency, a scratch agency, which means basically no clientele, my own hard work and investment, my then wife and I. And I've been a State Farm agent for 40 years in Overland Park. And I am happy to say about 20% of my book of business resides in Shawnee and the DeSoto area. Another 20% resides in Olathe, Overland Park. It goes on down the line. But so Johnson County's been very great to me. And I love Johnson County. I love being raised and being a Kansas resident. And to me, one of the most important things as a small business owner who pays all my bills, all my taxes, and empowers people, employs people, is the quality of the human resource. And the human resource that's most vital, basic foundation, is a solid education. And if you grew up in the 60s and the 70s like I did and watched the Shawnee Mission School District grow and prosper, the Shawnee Mission School District is the backbone. It is the foundation to the success in the business that's been attracted here and moved here because of our education system. Not just how good the buildings look, but more importantly, is the quality education that the children received and excelled with. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, back in the early 70s, maybe as recent as the early 80s, I think the Shawnee Mission School District was number 5 in the nation at one time and for a while. And I believe we need to retain that kind of performance. So great performance is essential and basic to my grandchildren and to the people of this county and this state. If Kansas is going to grow, we have to have an educated, productive human resource. And we have all the means to do that. And that's my emphasis.
Well, Henry, thanks for sharing a little bit about your background and why you're interested in this race. I'm going to go ahead and turn to the questions that we've established. So the first one is, as a school board candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
First and foremost, like I said, grade proficiency. I think grade proficiency is the most important thing. I also, with that, I served on other organizations. I was a trustee at Johnson County Community College, and I helped establish outreach to the Hispanic community, which unintentionally is an underserved community and their households need an advocate. So number two would be being an advocate for not just Hispanics children, but also other minorities, or for that matter, families that just didn't have an emphasis with education, which could be the Caucasian community as well. The GED program at Johnson County College is a phenomenal program that's had a lot of success, and I've had a real sincere emphasis in that. Even now, as I sit on the foundation board, I was on the board, I'm a member of the foundation board. I'm not a board member, but I'm a member of the foundation. I was a board member previously before I became a trustee, and that's how I got appointed. But significantly, so my first three is going to be great proficiency, the Hispanic community having an outreach, and then the next level is going to be these they maybe didn't have in their households an emphasis and a support and an advocate for education, and that's where I serve.
Thanks for sharing those priorities. Okay, another one that's going to be a top priority as a school board member is the funding of K through 12 education. What are your thoughts on K through 12 education funding?
Well, I think if you check with my record at Johnson County Community College, I was biggest proponent of, how would you say, refashioning and reinvesting in the community college level to be of service to the community, the greater Johnson County, actually, for that matter, the Midwest. And I led and voted on a $100 million investment to redo the buildings, which have redone the vocational schools, being the HVAC, the automotive, the mechanical, and also our art building. If you go over there, you'll see that I have a vested vote and interest in pushing those policies, which invested in the arts, vocational, and then again also the main entrance of the building, which was a one-stop shop. So when you enter that building, not only does it look pretty, but most importantly, you have all the resources within the first time you step in that building. Everything you need, from financial aid to tutoring to advocacy to ESL to you name it, mental health. All those resources are a big part of how I was a proponent of investing. I think it's over $100 million. And so I'm proud of that. And that's the way I feel about investing in education.
Okay, great. Well, K through 12 education system requires accountability measures for student performance, often focused on post-secondary success and career readiness. Do you believe the USD 232 district is meeting expectations for student achievement?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I hear it is, but what I can take from my grandchildren, I feel there's a lot of success. But most importantly, I'm concerned about the other children, outside of a household like mine, where you have the parents, the grandparents. I'm divorced, but my ex-wife and I are very involved. We're great friends, and we have a love for our children and our grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren, and they all live in the community. 2 are not going to school. The other two of them are. One's with her father. The oldest has chosen to go to another school district. But why I'm going this is we're involved and we care. And I'm not sure if other households have that kind of involvement, just because maybe there's 2 working households, or maybe there's people working 3 or 4 jobs and they just don't have that time. Well, I like to be the advocate for that household to make sure they do get that quality education.
Great. Okay, next one talks about unemployment rates, and employers are really struggling to find qualified workers. How do you see the school district helping to meet the business community's future workforce needs through work-based learning opportunities such as internships, training, and other career exploration?
Well, I think they're available. I think there's a lot of success stories out there, but I think the most important thing is, exposure. And when I say exposure, I mean from the children, let's say the bottom third, let's say the bottom half. The top half, I think they have a lot of households, parents, aunts, relationships. This is a relationship situation. And we need to have relationships with our employers and our institutions, and even just our community networks, where it be Rotary, Kiwanis, these types of breakfast clubs that invest in the community, not only to raise funds for scholarships, but also to make relationships, to reach down to be mentors. I personally mentored 10 Hispanic children, documented and undocumented, at Olathe East High School about 10 years ago for a 3-year period to make sure that they were committed to staying in the scholarship programs, the AP programs, and to be on the scholarship board programs and get recognition. Unfortunately, they weren't receiving that kind of encouragement at home. But here I was, a third-generation Hispanic, Mexican-American, helping these children understand that this was just going to benefit them with learning things like formal Spanish, formal English, and their mathematics and sciences. So once again, you got to lead by example. And I feel very strong that I accomplished that by being there for 3 years as a mentor. And I think we need more mentors for our children who are less exposed, if you will.
Okay. Next question is, what are your thoughts on the efforts by the state legislature to expand school choice?
What are my thoughts? Well, here's the thing. We're a capitalist society. I mean, when I got a job, nobody guaranteed me that I was going to succeed, and for that benefit, success embraces first and foremost the guidelines, the legislation that's set there to protect the consumer. And so every day when I get up, I get hired and fired by my insureds. As the rates go up right now, my customers change, for whatever reason. Maybe it's a personality situation, maybe it's a rate situation, maybe it's just, they have a change of heart of what they want in a service. They want to buy from the internet. The whole point is I have to prove my value. What's my value to my customer to keep them there? And that's the same thing our education process. So I'm going to say, I don't know enough about school choice, but I always walk in competition and I ask our school to step up and to be the best so that they can validate their exceptional credentials and presentation and performance to our children and to our households. And with that, we will retain and attract employers and investment in this state and in this county, just like the Shawnee Mission School District did back in the 60s and 70s.
Okay. Well, we're going to switch a little bit and talk about the announcement of Panasonic and the increased revenue that is expected to come to USD 232. If elected, where do you think those extra dollars or revenue should the school board focus on? Should it be to reduce school bonds, increase wages for employees, increase training for students that will help the workforce and not move on to college? There are just a few examples. Please share your thoughts.
Very good. Education is a fundamental basic effort. Okay. And here's the basic things that I taught my children. I have 2 kids, a son and a daughter that are adults that have children and are employed. And I said, and they had challenges in school, by the way. They had challenges. And I had challenges. I was ADD. And there was a couple of times where there was a chance I was going to flunk. That's not a bad thing. And so we have to make sure that if our children aren't prepared to go to the next level, it's our responsibility not to give them a trophy and make them feel good. It's our responsibility to train them up for life lessons. And that is to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic so that when they go to balance their checkbook, they can balance their checkbook. They can do basic mathematics. They can know how to pay their bills and how to survive. And then from that basics, they can learn more. They want to learn algebra and so on and so forth. Maybe calculus, be an engineer. With that, we need to be able to have them read and be able to read a contract when they're signing a lease and getting an apartment or buying a house, those types of things, or maybe employment, filling out an application for employment, and then write, be able to express themselves when they're on the computer and they're sending an email or communication, or maybe writing a letter or something, and attention, making a proposition, and why they should be considered. They have to, our children at the base level have to be able to perform reading, writing, and arithmetic. And that's where my emphasis goes back to grade proficiency. Because if they can do that, and maybe they weren't a star in high school, but when they're 19, 20 years old and they have a rejuvenation of how they want to reinvent themselves academically and perform and apply for a job, that's exactly the foundation they're going to need. And we can track any industry if our kids can do the basic fundamentals and be able to, fend for themselves advocate for themselves, apply for themselves. That's the human resource that'll attract a Panasonic, that'll attract an IBM, that'll attract a Gates, based company, who knows who. But we can climb mountains. I'm convinced Johnson County is a place where every company is going to want to be if we do the fundamental things to prepare our children to compete and attract those industries.
Okay, great. Well, what do you think is the greatest challenge for the district?
Our commitment as parents, our commitment as teachers, our commitment as leaders in our education community to do what's best for our children, to do what's best with our community. Right now we have 55% of our college graduates leaving this state. Why is that? It's because we don't have employment. We don't have, not even just employment, we don't have the base to attract investment for small business. You know how many small businesses that born in Kansas and left, and the fact of the matter is, if we had not only a base foundation, tax base that could attract investment and entrepreneurs and startups, we also need a base that keeps them here, and keeps more companies here. I don't know why every agriculture industry doesn't have a home office here in Kansas. We are the king of agriculture, and yet we have John Deere home office elsewhere. We have ConAgra home office elsewhere, General Food. They should all be in this state, in this county, leading the industry throughout the world.
All right. Well, final question is, what makes you uniquely qualified to serve on the school board for USD 232? And what most distinguishes you from your opponent?
Well, what most qualifies me, and I think also distinguishes me, is that by the same token, is the fact that for about the last 23 years, I've served on about a dozen different boards, everything from the Mental Health Association of the Midwest, and concerned about the needs of mental health and those, not just also needs, but who serve. They need support to reach out to those who need the mental health services. I've been a trustee at Johnson County Community College. I've served on Monroe Medical Center Hospital Board. I was the chairman of the board of Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and they have a sister organization that's now well known called the Kansas City Hispanic Collaborative, which is a 501c3 that emphasizes on education, which is the BizFest, which is a 4-day work week of presenting a business model idea to bankers. I've been a part of that for the last 13 years. Latinos of Tomorrow, taking those graduates from BizFest that are in college, mentoring them to get them to go out and get connected in the business world. And then there's another organization, Professional Latinos for Tomorrow, and that organization it creates relationships with established business professionals that graduated from college or have started small startup businesses, and we help them get traction and meet bankers and other marketing organizations to help them succeed. I was a board of the Greater Kansas City Chamber, and I had assets and introductions and exposure to what goes on the regional aspects. I've mentored children in the schools, high schools. I'm a successful businessman of 40 years. It started with nothing, just like my father, who was a barber his whole life. It started with nothing. So I know what it's like to start a business. I know what it's like to be tenacious and be persistent. I know what it's like to build relationships. I know what it's like to work with the African American community, which I'm a supporter and advocate of the Monarchs Club, of the National Association, the National Negro Baseball Leagues. What else? I mean, there's other organizations I've been a part of, but I've invested in this community in Johnson County. I've invested myself in relationships with the community, and I love this community. I'm a lifelong Kansan, and I care about this place. And it hurts me to see our college graduates leaving. It hurts me to see our retirement age folks leaving for elsewhere, and they need to stay here. We need them here. This is a wonderful place to be. We got the greatest people in the world, and anybody that comes here and lives here loves us. So that's why.
Well, Henry, thank you so much. Would you like any closing statements?
I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and my best wishes to all that have stepped up and who are running as candidates. They may be my opponents, but I don't see them that way. I think all my opponents are people who have a sincere passion to serve the welfare and the benefits of our children and our households. And so I thank them, and whatever the outcome is, I embrace it, and I'm here to serve, and just grateful just to get to know all those that who care about DeSoto School District.
Well, this concludes our interview with Henry Sandate, USD 232 School Board Member Position 3 candidate. Thank you so much for joining us and participating in today's program. For more information about candidates, videos of these and other candidate forums, and advanced voting details, please visit www.votejoco.com and share this voter resource with your colleagues, families, and friends. On behalf of the Johnson County Public Policy Council, thank you for taking advantage of this important opportunity to learn more about the candidates. Best of luck in your campaign, Henry.
Thank you very much.